Hello the internet, welcome to 2026. This is my weekly setup for the weeks, every week, ongoing, not just 2026. It's very similar to how it was last year. The main difference is that last year I just had the one weekly book that was a B5, so I had my timetable on this page and then I did my processing on this page, whereas this year I'm using a Wonderland 222 book to plan my time, to visualize my time, and then all of this becomes for weekly processing for tasks and stuff. So this is what I ended up with last week. It was a bit all over the place, but I went and I refined what like it will look like, and I actually drew it out already, and then I think I'm going to draw out next week's today, so that when I come to plan next week it's already done. I don't have my timetable written out, but that is the first thing that I'm going to do. So I'm going to click my fingers and then it's going to be done. Ready? Okay, so I blocked out my timetable. I always start my days at the bottom of the day, like in the morning down here, and then I go up through the day. So for me this is the evening and this is the morning. Don't know why, makes sense to me. And one of the reasons why I wanted to use the Wonderland 222 is because of the untimed timeline, so I can use it as it seems right to me rather than as is dictated by the people who make the planners. So what I've done is I've made a list here of the sprint levels. I filled it in last week and then I actually stuck paper down to refill it in again because I just love planning that much. For next cycle, I'll give you a quick sneaky peeky. I'm setting it up like this. So basically in my everyday carry, which is this one, at the back I keep notes for like thoughts and to-dos that pop up. I'm not yet in the habit of reaching for the book every time I have a thought, and then I am still losing track of those thoughts. So I need to be better at reaching for that book and writing stuff down. I still need to come up with some trigger lists so that when I do have a minute to sit down and empty my head, I've got like specific prompts to go through. But that is another day's job, maybe later, but not now. So I've got some general to-dos for the month. So this is ideally everything that I need to go through for the whole month. So the first thing I'm going to do is go through and cross off everything that I did last week. And then I will start transcribing stuff that I can do this week. So clickety click. I've crossed off like 4 things. Actually, compared to where I thought I was, I'm in a much worse state. So basically, I'm going to look at my week overview. So today is admin because I have done nothing else. Then tomorrow is going to be MOD stuff primarily. Wednesday, I don't know, but Thursday I'm in the office, so I'm going to do FPT on Thursday. Friday, I also don't know. Saturday, I also don't know. And then Sunday I've got the expo. We're going to a wedding expo, which is like a wedding fair, but just much, much bigger. So I need to plan for the expo. So I need to define exactly what that looks like. So I'm going to put EFW, that's my wedding business stuff. I was explaining to a friend of mine, I met up with a friend who I only see sort of once a year, but now she's actually moving back to the country, so it's quite exciting. The way that my like business model works is that I have Funimation Central, which is like my business, and then I work with clients. I have like different projects and different clients. Currently I've got 3 clients, but my 4th client is actually myself. So EFW is like the 4th client in how Funimation Central like makes their money, or makes its money as it were. So in theory EFW is a quarter of my income versus everything else. In reality nothing is equal, and there are some projects that carry the weight of other projects, but the nice thing about that is that I get to work on things that I enjoy, which is quite nice. So I think Friday I need to dedicate to Pippin, and Saturday is currently my only non-working day of the week. I do have to do meal prep, and I will probably prep everything for the expo. So I'm just going to put, what am I going to put? I'm going to call prep. I'm just going to call it prep. So it's going to be quite an EFW heavy week this week. I am concerned that I'm not dedicating enough time to FPT, because before I was doing 2 days a week for them, and now I'm only doing 1 day a week. The main problem, I think, is my admin day, because Monday is sort of becoming a write-off. So I need to be doing a Pippin, 2 FPTs, 3 MOD, and an admin and an EFW working day a week. So that's actually 8 days. So I don't really know how I'm going to fit that in. I may have overcommitted. Overcommitted. Who knew? That's completely unheard of. Anyway, I'm going to go through the tasks, which I'm not going to film because that's just boring. I'm just going to be transcribing. So I'm going to go through the tasks, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to like clump them, which is the interesting bit, I think. And it's not really very interesting anyway, but it is what it is. So here we go, and click. Okay, so I've written out a bunch of things. Just gonna write one last one there, and basically the idea of the task clumps is, so I have been following Rachel in Theory for a long time, and I've been using a lot of the advice that she gives, and she works a lot from like a more personalized version of the Getting Things Done method. Like, it's not strictly the Getting Things Done method, but equally it's like derived from it. So I decided to look into the original, and I've sort of developed this based off of the Getting Things Done method, that this feels like it seems to work for me. So in the Getting Things Done method, they talk about contexts, as in, if there are tasks that you can do on your phone from anywhere, then if you've got 15 minutes in a waiting room, you can sit down and do those tasks. And if there are tasks that you have to do at your desktop computer, do all of those on the same day at the same time. So you're not necessarily grouping things strictly by project or by like work day, as in like by like all the stuff for FPT happens on the same day as FPT, but you're like clumping similar group of tasks together, which is something that I was doing before anyway. Just like with all of my admin tasks, I would pick out all of the communications I need to send and do them all on the one go. I've just thought of another one. I'm basically just going to go and pick through and go, what can I do all together, and then I'm going to clump those as all sort of one thing. So I'm going to start by colour coding them here, and then I'm going to write them out here as their individual clumps, and then there will be one to-do list which I will then also put onto a post-it note, which I will keep in my everyday carry, so that if I'm out and about, that will be my, like, you know, what specifically do I need to work on while I'm out and about kind of thing. So actually I can close that book because I don't need it anymore. So I'm gonna fast forward this, so you should just see me like ... but that is where we are. So admin. That was really easy. I didn't think it was going to be this easy. It's a little bit unsettling. It's okay. So I'm going to clickety click, and we're gonna go. So I've gone through and I've organised them into their little clumps, and I need to put onto a post-it note the ones that I can do when I'm on the go, but I will do that later actually, because what I'm going to do now is this is my daily book, technically it's 3 different planners. This was 2 planners, 2 Kimball planners that I just stuck together, and a take a note. As you can see, it worked really well for the first week, for the first few days. Friday I was on dad cover because mum was away. What did I do on Friday? I did something in the morning. I had to go somewhere. Where did I go? Oh, I had to go into town. I had to cash a cheque. So that took up most of my morning. And then the afternoon I just did some general light admin-y type things and some planning. So I didn't really need a to-do list. The Getting Things Done method recommends setting up a today, that when you set up today, you also set up tomorrow. So when I first started using these books, I thought that I would just use them interchangeably. So any one of these could be today or tomorrow, you know, could be any, like, my thought was that I would just use 1 page per day, one book per day. What has sort of ended up happening immediately is that the page a day, the Kimball sort of Techo equivalent, has become for taking like work notes. So when I go to my meeting on Tuesday, I will keep my meeting notes on this page. At least I will write up my meeting notes in neat on this page, because then I have an index at the very beginning here, which means that I will be easily able to find the specific work notes that I need. But they're not the kind of notes that I'm going to need for like years to come, so I can get rid of them at the end of the year. And I'm going to use these pages as my tomorrow plan, because the idea is that you plan today and tomorrow so that you are thinking more in the future than just what you're doing today. And then tomorrow you review, and tomorrow's plan might change completely. So I don't want to write tomorrow's plan in here in case it completely changes, because my life has a tendency to completely change. But what it means is that I can plan a little bit for tomorrow today, and I might also plan a little bit for Wednesday and Thursday and Friday today. I'm not really supposed to, and historically I've not done very well in like planning what I'm going to do per day, because obviously plans change completely. But I quite like the idea of it being like a tentative plan, like a penciled in plan, and then the real plans that you do on the day that change depending on your energy levels. And you know, if priorities have changed in the morning, you wake up and everything is different. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to fill in my to-dos for the rest of the day, because I've got it's 5:30, but I'm not on any kind of cover, I'm not helping anyone else tonight, and Michael is out, so I could just keep working, given that I didn't really sit down to work today until about 4 o'clock, because it was a work meeting this morning, but then I had to go to see the physio for my hand and shoulder. So I am just going to get started, and then I will come back. Or should I fast forward it? Maybe I'll do a fast forward so you can see how I go backwards and forwards. Yeah. Okay, so fast forward. Okay, so I've got a handful of things still. I've managed to write something down. I started to misspell tomorrow, so I wrote it comically wrong, because then I can pretend that it was deliberate and it wasn't just that I can't spell. I need to write the agenda, because the agenda is tomorrow. So either I need to write that tonight or tomorrow morning. I don't want to push that onto morning, Fran, so I'm going to do that tonight. Ordering the paper and the table stuff for the expo, nice and easy. Writing out the trigger lists, this is like my fun activity, because I will get something out of that. So I'm gonna brainstorm the trigger list, and then I will look at maybe typing it up or making it look nice in some way. I want to edit this video tonight. If I can get it out tonight, I will, because it's just easier. I've got a post box that we use to collect email addresses at expos that is really, really annoying. Like, it just doesn't work. It doesn't hold together properly. So if I glue it, it's going to need a couple of days to set, and then I've got a pyrography set that I can burn the wood, and I'll just put RSVP on it. and then I can send out some texts to collect some addresses for people. Tomorrow I need to turn my logo into an SVG file so that I can send that off to the wedding industry of all people who I'm working for next week. I need to reply to Damien, who needs the SVG file, so that he was on the I've got this one category which is waiting for, which is things that I need to do but I can't do them until I've done a step before. So emailing Damien is dependent on doing the SVG file. The SVG file needs to be done on the computer. So tomorrow I'm at a meeting starting at 11 until sometime in the afternoon, possibly 1, possibly a bit later. And then when I am either back from that or in the middle of that, depending on how the day breaks up, I'll have my computer. So then I've got 3 tasks to do on my computer. Printing the RSVPs could be done any other time, but I figure if I'm already on the computer when I get home from work, then I might as well do it, because then the rest of the work pages are... No, do you know what? I'm also going to pop the setup payment page, because that is another computer thing. And actually, if I can get that done tomorrow, even though it kind of puts quite a lot on the workload tomorrow, if I can get that done tomorrow, then on Wednesday I can do that as like all of the messy work. So I've got 3 things that involve paint, and I would like to, it means I can just say that is all I'm doing for that day, which will be quite nice, and it means I don't have to do other admin-y stuff on that Wednesday. So I've got a plan. I'm going to work through it. Day 1 of the week, I'd say what happens is I tend to be really productive on day 1, and then on day Thursday, Friday, I like do really deep long-term focus work. So I might do like only 1 or 2 tasks, but those tasks will be like really deep work rather than broad work. So we'll see. The writing out of the addresses is one that I've got photos of them. It's literally just writing that into my little diary, and I figure that's something that I can do, like, you know, if I'm waiting, if I've got 15 minutes, I can write out 1 address. So that is quite nice. Anyway, the internet, I'm going to go, and I will speak to y'all later. I'm going to go and write this agenda right now. Okay. Bye, the internet.